Um, Digital transformation. I bet you've been busy the last 18 months. I mean, all the data I've seen, all the conversations I've had, I've seen digital transformation projects go from years to months to actually, we need that project that we had a timeline of 5 years and we need that yesterday. Um, it's been, it was crazy, obviously, for obvious reasons. Um, but now as the dust has settled, what I've found, Martin, is there's been a bit of we've broken through the kind of the glass wall of what is possible. I think a lot of companies and a lot of customers who perhaps were reluctant to kind of buy into things like remote service. Suddenly, we've just realised an awful lot more how quickly we can implement things, how much easier it is if we kind of, out of necessity, cut out a lot of the red tape, and the customers are a lot more open. So I would imagine it's been an incredibly busy 18 months and probably continuing to be. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So, I mean, when the pandemic struck, and I'm not going to go through all the whys and wherefores, I mean,
Yeah,
we saw three types of customers, and depending upon, their maturity, what they were focusing on, and what they were actually thinking about delivering, most of the organizations fell into one of three camps, which was number one, oh my God, we cannot deliver our services and our solutions in this new way. We have got no remote capabilities. We've got no ability for our staff to work from home. How on earth can we actually do that? So they went into what I would call short term, reactive. How do we enable the business to continue to operate? Now, that would have meant that in some cases they would have accelerated dramatically some of their, transformation activities, whether it's, laptop provision, whether it's remote access, whether it's flexible working, whatever you want to call it. The second piece was around organizations that were already on that digital transformation journey and had already started some of that more flexible working, and also started to enable different delivery models for their customers. And basically what they were able to do is they were able to, you know, extend some of that capability and effectively carry on. And then unfortunately the third set were those people that have unfortunately been stuck, and not been able to move forward. And there are some organisations that have significantly been impacted by the crisis, and some haven't even survived. I think what we're now seeing coming out the other end is organisations that want to accelerate their digital transformation are significantly looking to enhance their capabilities, move to new ways of working, and also further automate what they're trying to do and take out a lot of the manual processes. And I think a lot of people have suddenly realized that prior to the pandemic, there were a lot of things that relied on people actually moving files, moving data, actually doing activities across the business that actually joined disparate systems together. And then suddenly, when those human linkages are no longer there, you've then got to find alternatives to be able to put it in place. And it's then how you actually digitally transform your business end to end that a lot of organizations are working on, whether it's things like self-service provision, which a lot of companies are now talking about, whether it's flexible purchasing in terms of how customers actually purchase and procure and then use different services. Those are just two of the areas. Obviously, from a workforce perspective, utilization and use of the workforce has obviously increased. For a lot of organizations that didn't have field-based resources, that actually had office-based resources, they actually saw an increase in utilization and productivity because people didn't have that travel to work, travel to home time period. They were actually able to more flexibly work during the day. So a lot of organizations have seen their actual workforce productivity go up. For field-based organisations, they've still got that same challenge in terms of making best use of optimised workforce and where they're actually at. So that's what we're seeing at the
yeah.
moment. Hopefully, some of that gels with some of the people that are watching this podcast.
I'm sure it will. I mean, there's a couple of points there. It's interesting to note that there was, these kind of three groups of organisation. Again, very much echoing the conversations that I've been having. I found that those companies. It'd be interesting to get your take on this. I found that There was a very distinct couple of identifiers of those companies that were able to adapt well, and they were already on the digital transformation journey. But I think it was perhaps less about the technology and the future mapping there. But there was those companies that were already on a digital transformation journey had more of an agile mindset. They were already looking towards the different ways of working. The studies that we've done at Field Service News Research, having correlated the data, we saw that those companies. I did a study towards the end of the year last year, and we spoke to 200, I think it was 280, just around there, field service organisations across the globe. And there's very much correlation between those who were on a digital transformation journey, those that had also started to think more strategically about service or on an advanced service or servitization journey, and those that were more easily able to adapt. Does that reflect some of the interactions you're having? I think what I'm trying to get to is that there's a secret sauce in the DNA of those companies that have been able to not just roll with the punches, but actually come out very, very strong. And I think that secret sauce is that agility, and it's that out of the box thinking. But I'd just love to get your kind of reflections around that.
I think it is. I mean, if I look to one of the organisations that is one of our clients today, they were very much in terms of what, from an IT perspective, you call a waterfall perspective, in terms of IT deployment and the way in which they actually delivered services. So very iteratively, one after the other. All right. If you talk about from an agile perspective, it is a completely different approach. It comes from software development. You can, I've used agile in terms of from a field service perspective. I've actually done it used agile in terms of service improvement. People will look at me and go, how else can you use the agile methodology to derive service improvements? Because service improvements is all around iterative improvement, making small changes, okay? But although they're one after the other, it's actually increasing the speed of iteration. And agile enables you to be able to do that. It also enables you to actually release command and control. So when you talk about agility and you talk about service agility, you're actually referring to two things there. One is people that can actually move quickly, but from a management and oversight perspective, those organizations that are able to release some form of oversight and control to those people to actually get on and do. And for this organization that I'm referring to, they had some severe challenge to be able to enable a very large disparate field workforce to work. And what they did was the senior management team didn't know how to do it. There was some very key technical people in the organization that knew how to do it. And what they did was they trusted those individuals to actually do it. Those individuals worked very quickly in an agile manner, okay, over a number of days and weeks to be able to roll out the solution, okay, across the field force, right, where the senior management team allowed them to get on and do, purely because there wasn't enough time for all that oversight, management and control piece. So I think if you're talking about agile, you have to think about two things. You have to think about the actual agile mindset. But if you're in an organization, it's actually releasing the ability. And that is one of the principles of agile. It's self-managed teams. You've got to let the people actually do the things that they're trying to do. And you've got to give them the belief that they are actually trying to do things with the right intention. If you're talking about digital transformations, that means that you've actually got to, and there's an expression I've heard, and I don't know where it comes from, but you've got to be able to fail fast. So if you're doing a digital transformation, you've got to do it in an agile manner. You've got to be able to think about, I can try this. If it fails, how quickly can I enable this to fail so I can then move on to the next thing? Because, as any transformation you're trying to do is, especially today, if you think you've got a 3-year roadmap of where you want to get to, you're describing something that is a fantasy. Because in 3 years' time, none of us know what the new business models, what the new competitor landscape, what the new service iterations are going to be. We just don't know. But what we do know is where we believe we need to get to be more competitive or more able to deliver the services to our customers over the next 6 months or the next year. So the idea is from a transformation perspective, is you look very much more short term and how you can actually deliver those increments quickly, and also how you can fail fast. Because if you can fail fast,
Yeah.
I know this sounds an oxymoron, you're more likely to be successful. Because
Yeah,
rather
yeah,
than pursuing a
absolutely.
particular thing for the next 18 months and you realise it's not delivering the returns, you can actually try something very quickly and go, that's not working, do something different.